What's up, legend? How are you, man?
What is up, my dude?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome in, everyone, to the Empowerment Podcast Part 3. Last two parts were fucking awesome. We had a week in between because the little one was the little one's birthday, was it?
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. The little guy. I didn't realize he was so popular. It turned out to be a crazy event. So sorry I missed you guys last week.
Hey, dad duty comes first. We all know that. That's all good. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for everyone for watching the last couple of episodes as well. If you haven't already, please check them out. They're worth catching up on. And today's topic we're talking about will be success and failure. I think what this series is sort of. I think it's going for what 10 parts. I think we'll probably get to 10 parts the way we're going. To be honest. But we'll see how we go, and we'll see what other topics we roll off. We've got plenty planned for you in the future, so just sit back and enjoy yourselves. In the meantime, though, I mean, dude, how you been? How's the week? What have you been up to?
Oh man, it's funny. I was talking to somebody. Before. It was in an earlier stream. This week I really was. I worked a lot. Like in terms of my career. It's so funny, right? That with life the way it's been. Remember, I was talking to Adam before, guys, and I was just telling Adam about how, when I was having my kids for like 4 years, I was kind of like just like out. Like I just shut everything out and committed to that, right? To being a dad, the house,
Yeah.
the American dream. And before that, I was a very much like larger than life, wanting to do so many things. And, you know, for the last couple of years, I've been trying to find that right balance because, you know, we've expressed so many different kinds of passions, right? Different things that we want to do, most of which revolves around getting like a lot of what's in here out there.
Mm.
Just to see what happens, like, maybe nothing, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, who knows? But it's tough to find that balance. So this week I actually worked a lot. But I wanted to though, like, because I actually love my career. My career is selling, large enterprise software. But the what I love about it is that it requires a lot of connecting with people and really trying to align solutions to what people are looking for their own personal gains. And I enjoy it quite a bit. So this, I worked quite a bit this week. I had a good work week. Last couple of days I've been kind of, gaming and streaming, but really been looking forward to this actually because of the topic. What about you, bro? How about you, man? What's going on in your world, Adam's world?
Oh man, well, it's not raining as much this week, which is a success in itself because I spent a lot of weeks in the last month just like sitting here, doing other things because obviously I haven't been able to do my job because of the rain. So, and when I say rain, I mean like rain, like it's like tropical fucking just downpours, man. Like we had. Oh, dude, there was one day like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and we had like more rain in one day than the entire year. As of like opposed to like last year or something. It was something crazy like that. It was like 400 mil in like a day or something, or like an hour or something stupid like that. Like it was some crazy number. And like Australian weather is just like one or the other. It's like dry and everything's dying, or it's just like completely saturated and nothing, like everything's drowning. It's just insane because we have like that 7 year on and off drought pattern. Because it's like every 7 years, it's like dry for 7 years, and then it's got 7 years of just mass rain. It's just crazy.
Do you guys have to deal with a lot of flooding over there?
Yeah, dude, all the time. Like, the problem with Australia too is the way it's like kind of deluged a little bit. Like when it comes to the outback and land and stuff, it's all real flat, but it's all like below sea level, half of it. So it's kind of like everything just kind of just floods, and it's crazy. Man. Like it was some of the I think it was not the last year, but the year before we had floods directly after an entire like season of bushfires. So like what happened was everything burned to the ground, and then the flood came through and just dragged all the debris away. So like people's like houses burnt down, right? And they were waiting for the insurance and like the claims and stuff to try and salvage some stuff, and then all of a sudden the floods came, and then all the house was just gone. Like it was just fucked, dude. But that's just Australian weather, it comes and goes. Like it's one extreme to the other always. Like there's no in between. Like if it rains in Sydney, it rains for a week. Like it doesn't just rain for 5 minutes. It's just like I don't know what that's all. I mean, New York's pretty similar though, right? With the rain. Like I noticed when I was there, when it
Yeah.
rained for like for hours and hours and hours, just like all
Oh
day.
yeah. Oh, we had that same shit this week. I had to cancel 2 practices this week because there's no small rain. If it comes, it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna let us know it's here. Hey,
100%.
am I allowed to ask about how excited you are for the thing, or is that
Oh yeah, yeah,
am I
you
not?
can ask. That's fine.
So I'm gonna ask for everybody because I know want to know what the go ahead, man. Yeah, you know what I'm asking you about. Like, cause I'm fucking stoked.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Australian time, I'm going to be back on Twitch for the first time in 6 weeks. Um, so and it's like if anyone has ever seen the stream before, it's not going to be what you'd expect. So basically, what I've done is I've spent, I would say, 50 plus hours now working on stream editing and overlays and cinematics and transitions and music, and I've done all my own. I've done all my own music. I've done all my own uh, overlays.
Even that
Um,
video, right? That
everything,
promo video. That promo was
everything,
fucking
everything is
nice.
custom, man. Everything is custom to the point where like it's so interactive that it's overkill. Like I've got like 16 screens now. Like 16 like scene changes in one stream now. Like it's
What?
it's
Oh,
it's
dude, the most I've
crazy.
ever had were 6. That's the most I've ever
Yeah.
had.
So like the last stream or the last time I was streaming, like it was a very simple setup. It was starting soon screen, as everyone has, starting soon
Yeah.
screen, be right back screens. You have your main screen for your camera, you have your game screen, you have your ending screen. Like that's pretty much all you ever need, right? No, I've got like 7,000 different fucking things going on, and it's just, dude, the amount of critiquing that I've had to do when it comes to things, even the alerts have changed. Like I have changed every like custom alerts too. I've got like 20 different alerts now as well. So I'm just like, this is going to be a big thing. I'm not like I am trying to talk it up a bit because I've spent so much time, and I really hope that everyone, if they do jump in, they enjoy it, because I've really like I want to see the fruits of the labor sort of situation, because I've put so much effort
Yeah.
into it and I expect it to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that'll be tomorrow. For me, that's tomorrow. For you, I believe it's today. If you think
Dude,
about it.
I'm fucking pumped. And by the way, dude, I know, when you get behind these things, you get that like fucking 6th year of energy and shit. So
Mm.
if you've done everything and you have stuff left in the tank, do not hesitate to say, hey, Ken, any chance you need some work done on your YouTube channel or something like that? Because I'd be more than happy to help you
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
You see what I
100%.
did there? You see what I did there? You see how like I made it seem like it was me helping you, but in reality, I'm trying to help myself.
No, that's fine. I don't mind helping. You know that. You just need to
No,
ask
no.
me. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm all about that, and I'm really enjoying doing everything custom made. And I've had time to do it, because I've had so much time off. I've had a lot of time to do these things, and I'm really really keen to see how it goes. So very excited, very excited. Hello to everyone in the chat as well. Thank you, Tosi and Ali.
guys,
Flyboy, good to see you. Sass as well.
Allie, Toaster, Sassy, Mickey,
Mickey's here as well. Let's go. Um,
man.
Yeah, dude, like it's going to be a big one, and I'm keen. And yeah, we're excited to not only grow this channel, but we'll grow your channel as well, because we want to make sure our YouTubes grow together as well, so we can get everything organized. And
Yeah,
we'll see how we go with that. And dude, like I said, when it comes to this podcast, I think the more people that watch it, the more people that will want to come and watch it again. And
heck yeah.
look, this is only the start, man. We've got unlimited potential when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it just depends on how much energy we have to put into it. And knowing you and me, we'll just keep flogging that horse until it takes off.
Dude, you know what's been so cool about this? So just so you guys know, like Adam's really been encouraging me for the last few weeks to, get my YouTube thing all set up so that our streams go back and forth because he's like it's amazing kind of like and look, probably like it's probably like a new relationship, where everything's fucking all good or whatever. But I don't doubt that even in like I just don't doubt that we could easily work through difficult situations as well. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
he's been really encouraging me to get it up and running so that we can throw the streams back and forth. So that we both get that kind of exposure. But I don't feel like I've missed out at all on anything. You guys have been awesome. You've been coming. We're doing this thing together. We at the end of the day, this is really, for you guys. Like, I swear, that's really how I feel. Like, if any one of you ever reach out to Adam or me and like, dude, it was, the confidence podcast #1 or perspective or this one or the eighth one, and it fucking changed my life. I got the job I always wanted. I called my father after 30 years, like whatever the fuck it is. Like, man, to me,
Yeah.
that's priceless, because now you're talking about changing someone's life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's the
So
crazy part is that each person is different. Like anything big or small, like even if it helps you just get out of bed in the morning and go do something, like we've won like some sort of battle there. So it's it's a cool thing to do, and we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we're really enjoying it. So yeah, it's awesome.
today, bro, what do we do? Where are we at? We did confidence, episode 1,
Yep.
perspective last week.
Today is success and failure, which is a topic that is incredibly broad, but we're going to try and narrow it down for you guys into something you can visualize as well. So, first of all, I want to start with how we define success and failure in not in the dictionary sense, but in the personal sense. So, I think that's important to start with to set that benchmark, because from there you can kind of like relate to it, you know what I mean? Like, so someone's success may be someone else's failure, or someone's failure may be someone else's success, because like we all measure it differently. So like, like I said, getting out of bed might be a success, but like if you wanted to sleep in, it might be a failure, right? Like you never know, like it could be one or the other. So that's sort of like the precedence of what I want to set when we start talking about this topic, in order for everyone to sort of understand what we're talking about. So obviously we want to tie it in with the topic at hand, which is empowerment, which is what we've been talking about this entire time. But the best way to start to engage with this topic is to put that in your head straight away, all right? So
Yes, sir.
going on from that, I think success is there's multiple ways you can talk about success. So, I mean, a success could be a successful business. Now, how do you determine that success? Is it money? Is it employee happiness? Is it how much stock you have? Is it movement of that product? The success of a product, if it sells one item, is that success or is that failure because you wanted to sell 100? Now it's got to be based on the goals that you set for yourself in the first place. So like if you set a goal of selling 100 products and you sell one product, is that a success or is that a failure? I mean, for some people, if you were 100% sure you were going to sell those 100 products, then that is a failure, right? But if you weren't sure whether those 100 products would sell, selling one that's a success, right? We argue the point in that because we're trying to change perspective on that as well. Because if your perspective is to sell a product, right, and you sell one product, you're winning, you're successful, right? So that's sort of like the pre-sense of that when it comes to business. And now you can apply that into your personal life as well. Because in your personal life, if it's a success to just go to the shops and back, then it's determined as success. If your goal was to go to the shops and you don't get there, it's a failure, right? But how do we create a success out of that failure? So that's where we're going to go from there.
Goal is a good word, Adam. So I'm just gonna echo what he said. So, that's what it is. So success, right? In a general sense, can be obtaining something that you really want. Obtaining something that really means something to you. And the example that Adam was given, was somebody, getting getting to 100 and then going through the process of reaching one. That was I love that you said that, right? Because failure, right, in the traditional sense, failure is not succeeding, right? In the traditional sense. But I want to challenge everybody to look at it a little bit differently, because the way I look at failure from the traditional sense is a part of the process. Because anytime I fail on my road to success, right, anytime I fail at anything, like if I fell short, if something went, it's a learning experience. That's the way I look at it immediately. I don't look at it as failing, because if I'm on the road to success, if I'm on the road to the end goal, right? And there was a setback in some way, shape, or form, I promise you two things. I promise you that I'm learning something, and I'm promising you that I gave it my best. Does that sound like I'm failing? No, because I'm learning something and I gave it my best. Anytime you give something your best, people got to get used to walking away with their chin high. Just
Mm.
because your best doesn't come out to be the 100 in the first shot, that's not failing. Anyway, I don't want to digress. You know, I'm like so passionate about this, but let's keep on that pace that you were talking. That was good. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's the same as competitiveness as well too. That ties into it too. So like
Yes.
if you were in sport, right, and you go to the Olympics and you get silver, you know, is that a success or a failure? I mean, you trained as hard as the guy who got gold. You know, you did everything you could because the gold was the benchmark, right? You're not as an Olympian or as someone who's going into a sporting event. You don't want to come second. You want to come first, right? So the goal is always first, right? And people say, oh, if you're not first, you're last. If you're not first, you're last. I mean, yes, in a sense, that is true, right? But in the context of if you came second, you're not last, you're second, right? So is that a success, getting a silver medal over a gold medal, or is that a failure? It depends how passionate you are about what you do. But if you're that passionate, you're that driven, you will find a way to train harder and get that gold. You know what I mean? Like you just need that motivation. And maybe failing to begin with and not succeeding the first try might make it like more, like it might empower you more to push for the gold next time. Do you know what I mean? So like they
Mhm.
might kick you into overdrive a little bit harder than, you know, when you first started, because when you first started you had that gold in mind, but then you didn't achieve it. That might determine you more, or for a lot of people that might deter them more. So we've got to get you out of that mindset of deterrence, because like to be deterred because you fail like getting the goal first time, it should not be that case. That should be a way of pushing you further to succeed again. Does that make sense? So like if you can get that
Yeah.
mindset in any aspect of life, okay, whether it's designing something, drawing something, building something, you know, whatever it is, in your life, you can apply that in any sense of anything. And if you can do that, your outlook on life will change completely, right? It takes the pessimistic thing out of it. Do you know what I mean? Optimism doesn't have to be happiness. You know what I mean? Like everybody thinks, oh, an optimist is always a fucking, you know, happy-go-lucky. You know, they're always looking on the bright side of life. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Being optimistic doesn't mean you have to be like, you know, the person that jumps around and, you know, shouts rainbows to the heavens. Like you don't need to be that person. You can still be optimistic and still be a dickhead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you don't have to be like the person who's like, oh, look, I've got this quote of the day and, you know, I'm this happy person there all the time. No, you can still be, you know, whoever you want to be, and still be, you know, optimistic. That's a preconception I think a lot of people have that is rubbish, to be honest. And I think I'll get your thoughts on that. I think you agree with me on that one.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's so for you guys who have been watching us, you know, for the past few weeks, you know, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I keep saying it, we keep bringing it up because because it's important to us that you guys know that. Like Adam and I, we we talk about the subjects and then in terms of like making sure that they're connected and then the sequence of it, but then the rest of it we leave it to how it works out because we want you guys to experience our thoughts as they're naturally coming to us, like the real Adam and the real me. So the reason I'm bringing it up again is because that was a perfect segue. What you said a moment ago, Adam, about the about the part of the competitives about not giving up. Because I thought a lot about this, right? And and you said this earlier, like you go in so many different directions. So for me, so that I didn't go in a million different directions, there there were like really three principles. There's so many, but there were three principles specifically when it comes to the relationship between success and failure that I really wanted to just get out there, and Adam, we could take them in a bunch of different ways too. I don't want this to be about just three principles. That was the
No,
idea that I came up with.
let's touch on them and we'll talk them through for sure.
So So the first one, and it wasn't even in this order, but you made me think about it, was don't don't quit too early. That's a
Mhm.
simple sentence, right? Don't quit too early. But there are so many examples of how that idea, that concept, has led to some of the most greatest memorable people of all time. I'll give you a
Mm.
good example. John Wooden. He's a legendary college basketball coach. He actually ended up in 12 seasons, right? In college basketball, he won 11 championships, right? And 12, that's amazing. And they were consecutive. Like that's what blows my mind, consecutive. He won 11 championships. But you want to know what you probably don't see unless you really do some digging, is that before he got those 11 championships, he lost 16 seasons in a row. 16 seasons in a row.
That's a long
But
time.
right. So that's a long time. Now look, there's a tricky relationship when it comes to like how you treat success and failure, right? Because sometimes we talked about this, like, hey, look, if something doesn't work out the way, like really doesn't work out the way you want it to, you have to be honest with you. You have to look at the writing on the wall and you have to course correct. But what you said before, Adam, but if your passion is there, if you really believe that this is something you can do and you're supposed to do, you fucking run with it. You
Mm.
keep, like, I waited 16 years, but then he got 11 years of championships. Like, I love that story because look, we can all think of that, right? How many people in the chat can think of something in their life that they wish that they could go back to because they feel like they gave up too early or they gave up too soon?
Mm.
I could be honest. That I could think of a few things in my life, you know, that when I look back, I'm like, fuck, if I would have just stuck with that a little bit more because I was still in the process of learning how important the relationships between success and failure are. But that's something that, you know, that's something that I think would go a long way for people if they were able to just take failures and understand it as a part of the process and continue on. What are your thoughts on that?
The sports analogy is a really good one because it resonates with a lot of people. Like, not just in the fact that being a sports fan, but also someone who may be engaging in sports activity. Now, sport is all about success and failure. Like that is the entire premise of sport because it's a competition, right? So
Yeah.
the thing that I can relate with in that is that obviously, I'm a massive Penrith Panthers NRL fan, like rugby fan, and I
Yeah.
love my team. Like, yeah, I was a member for many years. I haven't been for a bit because we couldn't go to the games, right? But I used to sit in the member stand every single game and watch us lose, right? Every fucking game, and it was just like. I kept going. I'd rain, hail, or shine. I would sit there in the fucking rain and I would lose by 30 points and I'd just be like, yeah, good game. We didn't lose by 28. We lost by 26. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that for years and years and years. Like, the last time my team won a premiership was the 2003, right? I was 13. You know, like, so I spent all these years thinking, I wish my team would just fucking win another season. Anyway, the season before last, we came second in the grand final. So we lost the grand final, even though we won it nearly 18 games straight up to the grand final. But we lost the grand final, right? Now, and I went to the game, and for the entire week after that, I was just miserable. Like it was like so close yet so far. But in sporting terms, like, and when it comes to sporting teams, that the next season, obviously, we won the whole thing. Like, we won the whole thing and dropped like 2 games all season. Like, we literally the team took it, like, they took it so hard because it's a young team, right? So, like, a lot of them, about 4 or 5 years into their professional careers, they're in their prime, right? And they all knew they could win that game and they lost. And I think it was a lot of extenuating circumstances leading up to the game. There were problems, bits and pieces, whatever it was. But regardless, no excuses, we lost. Next
Yeah.
season, the team said, we're never going to lose again, and this is why. And then we went on to win the season in a easy fashion. It looked like there was no other team that could compete. And then we went to the grand final, and there was the closest game I've seen us play all season because we were playing the best team in the comp. Like, and it was a brutal game, and it could have gone either way, but we got the win. And mate, I was panicking right down to the last 20 seconds of the game. Like it was just like I was sitting there just like I didn't even know what to do with my hands. I was just sweating. I was just like fucking stressing. I could feel my hair falling out during the last mate. And then we won. And it was phenomenal feeling. Like I've never felt at the same time as because I knew the other team that we played, the Rabbitohs, when they lost, I knew a lot of people who were Rabbitohs fans, and I felt their pain because I'd felt the same pain the year before, right? But the overwhelming excitement of winning a grand final, I know I'm not on the field, but I've been a part of that team for half my life. You know what I mean? So I just started crying.
You feel like dude.
And it was just a beautiful thing. But like, this is what I'm saying when it comes to success and failure. We failed to win, right? We failed to win for many seasons. We got more wooden spoons in the last 10 years than any other team in the whole comp, right?
And they failed forward.
But we finally figured it out. But it took so many seasons in order to succeed. Do you know what I mean? So they never gave up. And they never said, okay, this year's not the year. This year's not the year. They never gave up. They always said, let's go. And they never took their foot off the gas, because when it comes to sport and the competitiveness of sport, success and failure means everything. Because failing in sport is not a failure. Failing in sport is a lesson. And I think if we apply that to life in any aspect, you can't lose. You can't lose.
But that's exactly what we're trying to impress upon all you guys. What Adam just said. I know a couple of episodes ago we were talking about folks, two kinds of people, right? Growth mindset and then the complacent mindset, right? Like one of the things that I don't think we talked about enough is helping you guys understand that sure, there are some people that innately have a growth mindset, but I am a firm believer that for people who have an undying passion for more, and that can mean anything, but people who have an undying passion for more have the ability to convert themselves into a growth mindset. And what a growth mindset means is exactly what Adam just said. A growth mindset means that whenever you come across adversity that appears at face value to be failure, you smile at it. And you because you know that there's a lesson here for you to learn. You take that lesson, you appreciate the adversity for what it is, learn, and continue on. It's remarkable how many people, like, if you really start diving into tell me about something that you fell short on, or something that you wish you would have done. If you dig deep enough people just gave up. And look, this isn't about beating anybody up. We're just saying a large portion of that's why I wanted that to be a principle. Don't quit too early. It's a simple sentence, but when you start to peel it back, you start thinking, you're like, shit, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, let me go like that team, right? Could you imagine, so Adam, that team, the story that you just shared with us, obviously it's a professional team of champions, right? They were hungry. But if at any point that team mentally thought to themselves, fuck, all these years, man, we finally got there and we blew it. If that's the thought process they would have had, I guarantee you, I promise you, they would have never won it the next year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But it's that growth mindset. So there's another principle, but let me know if you have any other thoughts on kind of that, because I know there's so much to unpack there, but I didn't want to dive into the next one until I knew that you're good on your end.
No, I agree with everything you've just said. Like, I think too, as you know, I like to play devil's advocate a little bit, because I feel that a lot of people, can see it from another perspective that we haven't quite touched on yet, which is giving up on goals that aren't worth doing, right?
Yeah.
So, if I wanted to touch that for 2 seconds, basically what I mean by that is that if you start something, right, it's one thing to give up on something that you start that you want to achieve. It's another thing to give up on something that you realize isn't worth achieving. So like, I also time management in this world is a very, very, strict problem that people have, because I mean, our lives are busy. Like everybody is doing something. Like no one's ever just sitting around being like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Like, no, that's a lot of people in this world, and including a lot of people, all the people I believe in this chat, they understand that life is crazy. It's busy. There's a lot of shit going on. Family, friends, kids, jobs, careers, working, studying, whatever it might be. Everything takes time, and to allocate that time, and time allocation when it comes to importance is very good. So you have to take those factors into consideration too when you're setting goals for yourself to succeed, right? So if you set a goal and you go, okay, I'm going to reach this goal by this time, and that time turns out to be a longer time than you expected, I wouldn't be deterred by that. I would be more just change the goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, change what you're trying to achieve and lengthen that out of importance. Now, if it's really important to you that you succeed that prior to everything else, you should allocate that like that, right? That's more like time management skills than anything else, which we'll probably talk about in a future podcast. I wouldn't be surprised. But the other thing into that is just to finish on that point is basically when you find that time allocation and you understand it, don't be afraid to give up on a goal that isn't worth allocating time to. Okay, so don't deem that as a failure, right? That you've given up on that particular goal. It just might have changed when it comes to importance, and that's fine. You don't have to be afraid of failing something if you decide that it's not important to do, right? The difference is discovering don't discover that out of laziness, but discover that out of allocation of importance. I think that's the more pressing point I'm trying to say. Like, don't give up on it because you just can't be fucked. Give up on it because you deem it less important than the rest of the goals you're trying to achieve. And that's not quitting. That is just allocating time correctly.
Dude, that I'm glad you brought that up. You're right, because it's true, because I think we've all seen people, friends, family, what have you, who we've seen kind of like want to do something, and they tried, and they probably lost a lot of time, and then everybody always says, I told you so, or you want it to be. You don't really tell that person. So I think, and I'm not gonna, you said it all, I think, but the one thing I do want to echo, right, is that if the sacrifice, right, if the sacrifice in a certain process, right, begins to matter more to you than your desire to achieve it, then you gotta listen to yourself. You gotta be honest with yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't guilt yourself into continuing to go. No. I said something very, very, it was a key word in what I said before. I said desire. If the desire to succeed at that, if it's still there, yeah, man, get it out there, give it your best. But the moment that, because you'll know, you'll know if your passion ends for it, or if it's not there, you just got to be honest with yourself and you course correct. And that's what we're talking about here.
Indeed.
Put it aside, focus on the things that are working and that you're actually progressing in. Because that's what life is, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sweet, bro. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. What's the next point you had?
This is the fun. We kind of talked about this a little bit. So, um, it's yeah, we kind of did. The other principle I had is basically saying there's no such thing as failure. Because fundamentally, and this is the really how I feel, there's no such thing as failure, because fundamentally, if you gave something your absolute best, like I said, and you learned from it, then you succeeded. So and I'll elaborate a little bit more on it. So, like, how everybody has the old saying, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You win, you lose, right? Robert Kawasaki is an amazing, amazing person. I would highly recommend reading his stuff, watching his videos. The very first book I read actually was from Robert Kawasaki. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was the first book. I can't remember how old I was, maybe 18, 19. That like blew my mind, and like immediately I was into like, wanting to grow in all different ways. But Robert Kawasaki, one of my most favorite sayings from that guy is, he said, "Hey, look, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn." Think about that, right?
Hmm.
Instead of sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. That's exactly what we've been talking about the whole time, right? What's failure? It's adversity. It's setback. It's a lesson. it sounds simple, but challenge yourself tomorrow or later tonight, right? When you feel upset about something, think about it. What was it? Like what was it or a goal or whatever it is. Think about the way you feel, because the way you feel is really, that's based off of your thoughts. You're going to realize that you're feeling a certain way because something fell short, something didn't go your way. And I want to challenge you, just even with little stuff, like you said, doesn't have to be anything big. Start
Yeah.
looking at it as a lesson. Start looking at it as an opportunity to learn and move on rather than a setback. So, yeah, that was it. We kind of already talked about it, but I had it down as a principle,
No,
as one of the three.
that makes sense. I mean, failing, it's like failing upwards, I would say. So like basically if you it's funny, that you remember the story you told me about the inventing? You remember spoke to me about the car inventions and how they
Yeah.
did the engine? Yeah, that was
Oh
an
yeah.
interesting story. Like, do you want to tell that story one more time so people understand what I'm talking about, and then
Oh yeah.
we can reference it, because it's like it's a really interesting take on failure.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good
So,
one.
so this is a pretty magical one. The Henry Ford, or one of the core makers. I'm pretty sure it was Ford, but when he was in the process of developing the V8 engine, he had his engineers, and they were all telling him, It can't happen. It can't happen. It can't be done for this reason, for that reason." And he had countless meetings with them. They just kept falling short. And every time he always went back in and said, "No, I believe that it can. Here's why. Let's just continue on. I believe it." It took him. So I went back and did some more research, because at first it was 3,000, then it says 1,000 and 2,000. Let's say it did take him 2,000. Okay, so he in an interview, the reporter asked him, they're like, "Come on, man! Like, really, was it?" The reporter actually asked him three, like, really, like 3,000, like how do you not give up at 10? Like, or 5 or 20? Like how can you possibly fail 3,000 times to achieve something? And he kept it really simple. And he said, "Because I didn't fail 3,000 times. I just found 2,999 ways how not to do it."
Yeah.
Fucking great.
It's so good,
So,
and it's the great analogy. It's just it's brilliant. It's brilliant because that is engineering in a sense. Like, the reason we have things that work now is because they didn't work before. Like, to design something, and then to have it develop. Like, if you look at something, say, like air travel, right? So, like, air travel used to be impossible, and now it's normal, right? Think about it like that. Like, someone had to come up with that. The Wright brothers and all that kind of stuff. They all designed all these things. They're like wings. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like a propeller. All this. How did you come up with all that? Well, they had to start with the design of what a propeller is, right? They had to start with the design of what a wing is and all this kind of stuff. And eventually they built a plane, right? And the plane probably went up for 5 seconds and crashed into the ground, right? And then they started again. They said, how do we make it better? And then again and again and again. And then someone develops a jet engine, and someone develops a thruster, and someone develops, infrared. And it's just, what happens is engineering and design starts with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 failures of a product, and eventually is turned into something that is combined with something else that makes a masterpiece. So it's like, you've got to think of it like that. Like, the problem is nowadays, and I think, we've already touched on this when it comes to socials, and all that kind of stuff, is everybody wants everything in 5 fucking seconds, right? It's instant gratification. Like, press the feeder button and feed me. Like, it's like, the mouse inside the hut. If they press the button, they get fed. So they just keep pressing that fucking button until they get all the food, right? And they'll never stop pressing it because they love that feeling of eating, right? So it's like, you've got to get yourself out of the instant gratification mindset and start setting long-term goals. Like, when I plan something out for the business, if I'm doing any plan, it's not 5 minutes down the road. It's 5 months down the road. Like, you've got to plan things out in the long term, because the only time you ever see long-term benefits in general, in majority of things, like, you can apply this to anything, is time, right? Time spent doing what you're doing in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Like, same with jobs. Like, if in the first 6 months you don't get a pay rise, you probably didn't earn it. work another 6 months, ask again. I think it's just a matter of like, putting in the effort and the hours into something in order to see it flourish. Like, it's the same with anything, like even with this podcast, right? Right now, we have 150 something followers on the channel. I'm hoping that will grow, and it will, because we'll put time and effort into it, and people will eventually come, right? And if they don't come, then we have to change what we're doing and then figure out how we adapt, right? But the whole point is that we know this is a success because we are enjoying it, right? And a certain amount of people come in and they're enjoying it. And so that is a success in itself. Of course, we always want more people to come in so we can get to more people, but that is the future of the success that we're having. So this is the thing, like, it comes back to the principle of the topic, success and failure. Like, you have to determine it to yourself. Like, it's fucking awesome. I think it's a great concept, and I'm really like, we could, like I said, we could talk about this for hours. Let's just keep going. I love it,
dude. Well, so look, this is, I guess I could probably tell you. I'm gonna try to tie it back to success to failure, but you talked about something that's also really near and dear to me, and that's the journey there, guys. So like. You know what, we can tie it back, right? Because like I said, whenever there's a setback or adversity, right, I really do appreciate it. I genuinely appreciate it as part of the process, and it makes me excited because I know that I'm going to learn something and go forward. So, like Adam said, so I'm having a late start to building out the my YouTube channel, but it's not a problem to me because like we're doing this. So it's like, but Adam was right, and I trust him, and we really confide in one another, and so I took his advice, and I started talking to people more about it because I want people to come here and enjoy this with us. And this is it's funny, right? But you could ask the people, Toaster, I think you were there. How fucking stoked was I? I only had 2 subscribers on my channel. But again, like I was a little late to it. It was there. But I started talking about it, and it jumped from 2 to like 8 or 9 where it's at now, and I was so excited. Like I know, but think about this, like it's a really, really tiny number, right? But it's a step there. I laid out the steps that need to happen, like that I've seen my my entire life, and you guys, everybody can do this. When you make those goals and then you lay out the steps that need to get there, every single time you hit the milestone, no matter how small it is, you get a little bit stronger, a little bit more confidence. We talked about that before, right? Your perspective start to change. That was in episode 2. And then failure no longer means what it used to mean. Failure means fucking part of the process. The end, I see the end already. I'm sure Adam does too. We see the end. We have that picture in our head. Nothing is going to stop us from getting there, because everything that comes along the way, we're going to take it as part of the process. I know that's a lot, and I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I hope that can make sense. Maybe Adam could simplify it a little bit better than I can, but I just, I wanted to share that with you guys because it was a small win, but to me it meant so much, and I used that to create momentum within myself.
Yeah, I think that's can be applied to streaming too, because a lot of people who stream, right, on different platforms, whatever it might be, say they have an average viewership of 5 or 10 or whatever it might be, and then one month they might have 20, right? But then the following month they might have 10. Now, a lot of people give up. You know what I mean? A lot of people just throw in the towel and be like, obviously, I'm not good enough. This shit's fucked. It's like those people aren't enjoying what they're doing. They're not enjoying what they're doing. That's the whole point. Like, if you enjoy it, you shouldn't care whether you have 5 or 10 or 20 or however many people you have in your chat. I think the whole point is that if you're not enjoying the process and doing what you're doing, don't do it. Okay, do something else or adapt. Right, change, do something different. Right, try and at the end of the day, right. It's the same with jobs, right? And I'm gonna come back to what Pit Slayer just said because I think it's important. It's the same with your work, right? If you enjoy your job and you're good at your job and you exceed at your job and you're working and you're doing all those things, right? When it comes to success, it's just a matter of engaging it in yourself, right? Because, at the end of the day, you're getting paid a certain amount. You're doing the job that you like, you're enjoying it, you're loving it. It shouldn't matter really too much. Like if you ask for a pay rise and your boss doesn't give it to you, that's probably it's an externality. Like, you know what I mean? Because your boss is the problem, not you. Like if they say all year round, you're doing a great job, you're doing really good, you're doing everything right, and you go and ask for that pay rise at the end of the year, they don't give it to you, that's a company problem. That's not you. All right? Yes. You know what you do? Don't be afraid to tell them to go fuck themselves. That's what I'm saying. Like, go and find another job, man. Like, go take your skills and say, hey, see you later. Do you know what I mean? Because if they don't value you as a employee when it comes to the skills that you have and all the work you're putting in, go find another job and give it to someone else who actually cares. All right? Because I can guarantee you, if you say, hey, all right, here's my 2 weeks notice then, and I'm going to get this other job, because you've got to plan these things ahead, right? Like I've said with it, when it comes to job opportunity, create it, okay? Don't expect it just to fall in your lap. A lot of people are lucky and that happens, but not always the case. So what I'm saying, before you go and ask for that pay rise, go and see what your options are elsewhere and then log that as well. So basically, like, this is what I would do, and I haven't worked for someone in quite some time, but if I was to work for someone and I wanted a pay rise, the first thing I would do is work my ass off for that year. I'd do everything the way I was supposed to be doing. I enjoy my job. I'd get what I want out of it, and I'd get paid, right? And at the end of that, you think to yourself, okay, I want a pay rise. Look outside the box a little bit. So basically, take your resume, throw it around, go and find other jobs, go and find other opportunities, maybe even get to the point of the end of the interview process where you've already got the job, okay? And then, because you can always turn down that job, you don't have to go to it, right? But then when you're at the end of that process, you go to your boss and you say, hey, I want a pay rise. And you don't have to tell them that you've applied anywhere else. You don't have to do that. You're an employee of a business. It's not like that, right? It depends what industry you're in, but I understand like what industry like Pit Slayer's in. So this works for him. So then you say, I want a pay rise, and they laugh at you. You say, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else. Here's my 2 weeks notice. And guarantee you within that 2 weeks, they'll find the money. Okay. If they value you as much as they say they do, and they appreciate you as much as they do appreciate you, they'll find the money. All right. If not more money. Okay. Because they'll be like, shit, we can't afford to lose this guy, right? If they can afford to lose you and they don't give a shit, then it's not worth working there in the first place anyway. So you go and you move on to greener pastures. I can guarantee the person that you move to is going to pay you more money, and you're gone. This is the whole point. Like you need to grant yourself opportunity in order to succeed elsewhere, because if you do, otherwise, what's the point in being miserable? It's a waste of time.
That's the home loan stuff. Yeah, you know what? You'll get your opportunity, Pit Slayer. But I want to also reiterate what Adam said a moment ago about it's not a you problem, So when it comes to something like that, right? You put in your work over the last 12 months. You know your value, you know your worth. It sounds like for the time being, you're gonna have to just kind of take it in the chin and adapt, like we've been saying, and stick it out. But don't for a second ever think that there's something. You'll know, you'll know if there's something more you need to do. But it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you've done what you have to do. But it just sounds like this is a case of what we see out there a lot, right? Where companies just don't value the employee. They don't pay attention to the person's worth, what they've been doing, their commitment to the job. They take it for granted. And I'm sorry that's happening to you, but regardless of what they say, them not giving it to you, hopefully, and it sounds like you do, but you have that confidence that, look, you did your part. You did your part. The situation is just them taking advantage of me. It is what it is, but prepare. So everything that Adam just shared, look, when the time comes and you're able to go out there, get yourself, get that job lined up. Because the amount of confidence and conviction you're going to have going back to that boss when you have one or two offers, that's what you need. I'll give you an example, okay, for like that I did in my actual life. I was having a similar situation where I was working at this company. I was putting up my numbers. I'm not a complainer. I actually am very self-sufficient. I do my own thing. But I saw that, like I was going out of my way to help people. Like a lot of the stuff that you just said, it was really going above and beyond my call of duty. And I asked for, in my line of work, we're really, we get salary, we get bonuses. So I asked if I can get a special incentive bonus. And I was blown away when what I got was like some fucking bullshit metric about like, oh yeah, well, you're not hitting this, and that. I was blown away. I was like, wow, they really dug deep to like put up stuff that nobody ever pays attention to, and it doesn't matter. I did, what Adam just said. I went out there, spoke to a few companies. I got something lined up because I wasn't sure how it was going to be taken. I went back to them, and I just kept it real. I said, listen, you always want to be professional, regardless of how much of an asshole they are, because that's you. You walk away like a champion. You walk away with integrity. That could be another one, just like handling things with integrity and being the bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
Just be honest with them. Reiterate exactly what you said, but this time say, look, I know you told me that that you felt this way, and you laughed, and I assumed that meant that it didn't mean something, but this is what I feel I'm worth, and this is why, and I'd love the opportunity to continue to stay here, with the exception, but this is what I'm going to need in order for me to do that. Just like that gangster put it on the plate. If they continue to be assholes about it, then like a boss, you fuck off, you go get your other job, and you do it. I know it's not that easy, guys. Believe me, I had to do it myself. It was a hard process, but I really encourage everybody, anybody and everybody, if you're in a situation where you're not appreciated and it's toxic and you're just dealing with it, man, I really encourage you guys to do your very best to put your thoughts on the table, put them in the ultimatum, or get yourself a better opportunity. Again, I know it's easier said than done, but
Yeah.
I
It's
hate
all,
those situations.
it's always going to be a process regardless of the situation. I mean, like, it is incredibly beneficial if you do enjoy what you do. Like that's a whole another thing, because a lot of people will be in situations where they have a job and that's the only job available or whatever it might be, in whatever situation they're in, and they have to just put up with it. Now, I understand that, but that is a very small percent of people. Like I think if you want to find new opportunities, you just need to look. Like in most aspects. Like even look at from a personal perspective, like, with all the business stuff that I do, I've basically, I built all this stuff up, and I've finally come to the point where now I'm saying to myself, you know what? It's time to move on. Now, I could personally put another 4 or 5 years into the job I'm doing, and actually it could be a very, very like successful venture, even more so than it is right now. Like it could be crazy successful. I could make heaps of fucking money and do it, but would I be happy doing it? All right. Now, at the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference and what you enjoy doing. Now, I've enjoyed doing this job for 14 years. Like I've had a really good time doing it. I really benefited from it. I've learned a lot of life skills from it. I've met a lot of great people. I've been through a lot of different work environments. I've been self-employed, and I've gone through all the processes of knowing how to do that. Now, I wouldn't have achieved any of that if I hadn't done the job in the first place, right? And it's been very, very fantastic. But when it comes to success and failure, is it a failure that I'm closing it up? Is it a failure that I'm decided to move on? No, of course not. I think it was a success in itself that I even achieved it in the first place. So the fact that I've gone through and achieved all that in that amount of time, and I'm still young, so I'm just going to say to myself, you know what? It's time to do something different. Let's just go. Let's just do it. And you know what? The future is a little bit fuzzy when it comes to career right now for me, but I'm excited because like that's half the fun. Like, half the fun is working out what it's going to be. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to achieve? How am I going to achieve? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out, because, that's where the optimism comes in when it comes to success. So it's just like, this could be the greatest thing I ever do, or it could be the fucking worst. I don't know yet, but I'll let you guys know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's all it is. Like, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's life.
You know what, man? Oh, what a great segue, Adam. That's a great segue into principle number three, dude. That's because the because like you don't even have to think about it because it's innate within you. You are one of the people that understands that the past does not mean or does not equal the future. That's principle number three, guys. Hold on. The what so the reason I came up with that one, right? The past doesn't equal the future is because I read Tony Robbins. I love that guy. There was something that Tony Robbins said. He said one of the main things that keeps all of us, from achieving the things that we want to achieve in the future is the story we keep telling ourselves about how we can't or why we can't because of something that happened in the past. Past failures, past setbacks, all of that. None of that means that the same thing is going to happen in the future. I know there's an entire generation that talked about learning from history, learning from history, and learning from history, and people tied that shit to personal. Now there's like this fucking stigma where if you've done something, anything in your life, dating, anything, reading, carpentry, sales, whatever, you've done something in the past for a period of time and you fell short, chances are you're going to fall short again. Absolutely not. That's just not how it works. If you have the ability because guess what? You know how we're talking about like the relationship in this podcast, we're talking about the relationship between success and failure, right? We talked about a lot about philosophy today. We talked a lot about understanding failure differently, understanding success differently. Go back and listen to the pod. I would encourage everybody. I do it. Go back and then really think about what this means philosophically to us, and then think about the last 20 years of your life or 10 years, depending on how young you are or old you are. Just think about the first part of your life leading up to now,
Mm.
but now look at it with this lens rather than the lens that you did back then. I promise you, you will learn lessons as if you would have experienced that today. Let me know if I confused you. Adam, did that make sense?
No, that made sense because it's actually a good perspective to look at it from that way because a lot of people feel they are doomed to fail because of past experience. But it's bullshit. That's 100% bullshit. And if you apply the principles that we are laying out in this entire series of empowerment, you can literally take every single instance in your life that you thought wasn't the greatest, and you can find something positive in it because it's all about the way you change your perspective on that too. Because like is anything, like even relationships are fucked. They're hard. They're not easy. Relationship that is easy, you're gifted. You've made it. You've done it. Like it's insane. Like I don't know how people do it. I honestly don't, because I'm single for a reason. But what I'm saying is that the past relationships that I've had, and some of them have been fucking awful and some of them have been great, but I take experience from all those things looking into the future, but I don't necessarily think they're going to repeat. Do you know what I mean? It's just being aware of it though. You've taken all those experiences in your life and you've made aware of things you might have not been made aware of if you did it for the first time. It's the same thing. Like when you play a video game for the first time, right? Here's a different way of looking at it. You play a video game for the first time. You start that video game and you play it through, right? You don't know what to expect, because it's the first time you're playing it, right? And just imagine you've never seen it before. This is the first time you open it up. You've never watched anyone play it. You've opened it up. You're playing it, right? You're immersed in that and you're playing it from start to finish. And you're, whether you enjoy it or not is different. But you're starting from zero knowledge on something and growing knowledge on that thing. Now, go and play that game again through after you've played it once through already, right? Your perspective has changed on that game because you know what to do. You know what's coming. You know how to react to that. So, when it comes to life experiences, if you've experienced something multiple times, you need to take all the good parts of that and all the bad parts, combine it into a perspective, and then say the next thing is going to be different in this way, or it's going to be different in this way. It's like you got to learn from life's lessons and apply them to the future, right? instead
Yeah.
of being negative about it and saying that was fucked, I hated every second of it, and why did I do that? Think about, you've already done it, right? Now don't repeat it. Use it as a way of changing what is in the future. What is to be held, because that's using experiences in life in a smart way, rather than in a way that is just like, nobody wants to be stuck in a perpetual fucking loophole. Do you know what I mean? Like, people that get stuck in those kind of loopholes are stuck in that pessimistic attitude where it's like, everything sucks. I hate life. I'm fucking crying about the world. Like, those kind of people are fucking annoying. They're annoying people, right? That's just me being honest. Like, they're annoying people because what, they bring everyone else down as well, right?
Well, that's it. They're toxic too. Yeah.
If you find people like that in your life and you want to help them, right? But if they can't be helped, just move on.
Yeah.
Gotta do you.
You yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to digress a little, because it's true, right? The moment, like, look, what we're talking about, it's, I don't know, maybe it's to some people, maybe it's challenging, right? Maybe to some people, hey, I get it, I could see things that way, I'm going to work on that. But we talked about this, in the last podcast, we were talking about perspective, right? Adam said something that was pretty, very powerful, and it resonates a lot. No matter how hard you work, right, at understanding a certain philosophy, or at looking at something a certain way, if the environment around you doesn't support that, right, or doesn't reinforce that, and everyone is kind of just going against that grain, like, oh, dude, that's that fucking stupid, like, happy-go-lucky shit, that positivity bullshit, blah blah blah. Like, if they can't get behind you and even try, you got to remove yourself from that environment. You just do. Look, I don't care, friend or not. I've the best decisions in my life, some of the best decisions in my life came from being able to close the door on people that I had invested years in, but they couldn't grow with me.
Yeah.
And my life changed dramatically. And believe me, I mean, look, I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I think everybody can relate to this. Like, these are people that I had, like, gone through my 20s with, and you do some crazy shit in your 20s, right? You do so much for each other. You develop a brotherhood with or a sisterhood, whatever it is. Like, you really build that. And you want to hold on to that, and you want to believe what everybody says, when you love a friendship, you work through everything. But at the same point in time, if you're trying to, bring your life to a special stage, like, if you no longer want to be a spectator, and you want to be a player in the game, and you want to elevate your life in all those different ways, you got to have that support system around you. You got to get rid of the toxic people that Adam was just talking about.
Yeah. It's I mean, look, it's just a stepping stone into life, really. Like, I just think if you surround yourself with like-minded people, you do like-minded things. That's what it comes down to. Like, and a lot of people, like, I have time for everyone. You know what I mean? I have time for everyone and anyone that needs help. You see that when I do live streams and stuff like that. Whatever it is, like Discords and everything like that, I will do anything for anyone if they ask for help. Anything. Like, if they need advice on something, if they need guidance on something, if they need help with something, I'm there. I will help them, right? As it is within my ability to do so. And that's one thing, right? But it's another thing for people just to say fuck you constantly, and just not even try to not even try to encourage, or not even try to be there or do anything. It's like, it's the same thing as, like, if you're a drug addict, right? If you're a drug addict and you surround yourselves with other drug addicts, you'll always be a drug addict. Like, that's just fucking human society. It's like, if you're a hunter and gathering society, you'll always be a hunter and gathering society. Like, because you're surrounded by people who are hunting and gathering. Like, it's the same concept for anything, If you surround yourself with a certain type of person or a certain type of people, that's the person you will be, And if you've versatile that, like, you can change that around a little bit, and you can go and surround yourself with different people, or in different aspects, or in different environments, or whatever it might be. That actually grows you as a person, because you still have that group of people and you know that might be a little bit pessimistic, but then you have this group of people that are optimistic, and you can balance that a little bit, right? I'm not saying tell your friends to all, you know, fuck off, but I'm just saying, you know, you have to branch out from that friend group and put your feelers in other groups of communities or people or workplaces or whatever it might be, in order to change your perspective on that too, right? Because if you're just going to surround yourself with the same people and with the same habits, you're always going to do that. It's the same as, you know, with me, with the drinking culture and stuff like that. Like, you know, you guys know I've recently stopped drinking, like, and that was a really, really hard thing for me to do. But what I've done is I was surrounded by that culture of drinking for a very, very long time. A lot of my friends would go to the pub, watch the footy, we'd drink heaps of beer, you know? That was just, it's a constant cycle. Like, I'd even do it by myself as well. I'd go to the pub, talk to guys, you know, we'd get drunk, go home. Like, it's just the culture that you surround yourself with. Now I go to the pub less, right? I'm surrounding myself with that less. I've actually started going to group classes with the gym, right? I'm surrounding myself with people who are getting fit on a Saturday or a Friday afternoon instead of going to the pub. So, like, it's just a matter of surrounding yourself with people who you want to emulate in your own life. It makes it easier, you know, because humans are social people. They're social animals. If you lock yourself in your room and never speak to anyone, you never learn a thing, right? Because you'll always be stuck in your own head, doing your own thing. And some people want to do that because they need time to do whatever they want to do. That's fine, but don't make that a perpetual thing. I have the habit of doing that sometimes, where I lock myself up a little bit and I kind of just go into my own thoughts and I say, I've got stuff to do, everyone, just leave me alone, right? But I'm not doing that anymore. I've changed. Even just being online stuff has changed my life doing that. Like, I was a bit of a hermit. Like, I really would just do my own thing, do my own work, talk to my own people, and just do my life, right? But now I've opened myself up to a world of other people, literally. Like, I talk to people from all over the world every single day. And that's changed my life as well, because now my perspective has changed on so many things. Like, it's crazy. Like, and if you do that and you surround yourself with all different kinds of people, you learn so much more. You know, it's so beneficial. Like, it's actually crazy.
That's all fucking good shit, bro. Thanks so much for sharing that. You know, about your experience. And so my thanks for sharing that too. And you know, I just want to add that it's a good sign that there's an X in front of the husband. Especially, you know, because of that, you know, like, that's exactly what we're talking about. You know what I mean? When so Adam, like, in the explanation that you were just talking about, right there, and even before, we were talking a little bit about it, you know, the ability to, you know, to not look at past, you know, setbacks, failures, what have you, as an indication of, of what's to come, and then not letting the environment around you kind of add to, like, any kind of self-limiting beliefs, etc. The ability to concentrate on just, like, one thing that really means a lot to you guys, that's probably going to be another podcast now that I'm thinking about it. But I want to touch on that a little bit, only because the you know, as people kind of watch this video, maybe, like, in the afterwards, like a recording, or even live right here, you know, there's a lot of information, you know, that's being thrown. But I think everybody can, like, if you really sit down and think about, hey, take your time, like, what is it that you want to do in your life that's going to require the best of you, like the very, very best of you, you know, everything, your energy, your mental strength, all of it, you know. Take some time to think about it. And then what I want to add to that is focus on just that thing. Okay, you can have little goals around you, but focus on that thing. Get people behind you that believe that you can accomplish that thing.
Mm.
Convince yourself that you're going to accomplish this thing, and don't let anything at all get in the way of you believing that. And then apply every principle that we just talked about, from failure and adversity being nothing more than lessons to be learned, you know, to conviction, to belief, and etc. So the reason, like, I'm making this statement is because while we were talking, I was thinking, and this is going to kind of be a silly analogy. You know, be like, how did Ken tie that to this? But do you on Netflix, there's a series called Cheer. Have you ever seen the series called Cheer?
I don't watch Netflix.
Dude, I I had like an hour to kill, and I don't even know how I ended up on Netflix. It's not mine, it's my wife's. Um, but there was a show, Cheer, and they talked about this woman, Monica, who won like 12 or 13 championships in 15 years. But that wasn't really what got me excited. What got me excited was when they talked about before that, how it was another college and how their college, no matter what, fell short for like 21 straight years. And then when they talked to the woman, right? And they were like, why would you take that on? Like what? Like how? Like did like it was such a shot in the dark. And she was like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Like I just looked at the situation and I realized that we had no brand recognition. No one knew us. So I started going to the high schools. I started, handing out my business cards. I started doing interviews. She started going over all of these little steps, right?
Yeah.
And then after she was done, she was like, and then I just became obsessed with doing all of those things right. And I became obsessed with trying to understand all of the different ways that it could go wrong. And that's how she became a champion. So do that. I want to encourage people to do that. Find that, well, look, now I'm talking about one major thing. I'm not saying do one thing for the rest of your life, but you'd be surprised, man. There's a lot of studies, a lot of information out there that talks about the people who become legends in any one certain thing are the people who can commit their life to that one certain thing. And again, that may not be for everybody, but if anybody can resonate with that, if you can think of something right away, like, yeah, I've really always wanted to do this, or I've been trying this for such a long time, apply some of these principles and then get
Yeah.
back to us. We'll have you on the show.
Yeah, 100%. It's like the eggs in one basket situation, but like in a different way of thinking. So like instead of, they say don't put all your eggs in one basket. However, if the quality of the basket is made of gold, then why not? Do you know what I mean?
Like
So
that.
like,
I
so
never
like,
heard that
like,
before.
like if you find value in that one basket and the other baskets are, paper thin, made of tin, like why not put all the eggs in the one basket and make sure you succeed at that one thing? Like it's quality over
Yeah.
quantity. And I think that's important too. Like, if you have 10 things going on at once, right? And all of them are of equal or less importance to each other, maybe you should try and allocate your time more efficiently. So maybe it's more important to succeed at 3 of those things and take the 7 other things and like compartmentalize them a little bit, as opposed to doing 10 things sort of okay. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh
if
yeah.
you have time management, say you have 8 hours in a day and you have 10 things to do, right? And out of those 10 things, 3 of those things are the most important things. You're always going to do those 3 things first, right? And a lot of you are thinking to yourself, how many things do I have to do today? You always have a list, right, of things you got to do in a day. That's why people have calendars. That's why people have diaries. That's why people write things down. That's why people have alarms, whatever it might be. And you say to yourself, I got this many hours to do it and I got 10 things to do. Now, out of those 10 things and those 3 things are the most important, why do you need to do the 7 other things then? Do you know what I mean? Like, if they're like, oh, well, I have to do them. It's like, all right, well, you need to allocate the quantity and the quality to those things that you deem important. So you need to make a list of 1 to 10 of those things that you need to do in order to get them done. Now,
Sure.
say another 3 of those things that aren't the top 3 are like very, very short, simple things. Get those done first. You know what I mean? So get those done as quickly as possible. So the things that take the least amount of time, allocate them at the start, because you know what? If you do the things that take the least amount of time at the start of the day, right? You've already knocked off 3 things off the list before the first hour's over, right? And then you've got motivation to do the rest just as fast. So it's like, if you leave all the small things to the end of the day, you're going to have 10 minutes to do those 3 things and you'll just be like, oh, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? So if you allocate everything that takes the least amount of time at the start of the day and get everything out of the way, it's already propelling you to do all the big things at the end. So like the first thing when I get up in the morning is I get a coffee. It's my ritual. Every single morning when I get up out of bed, no matter what I've got on for the day, I go and get my coffee first. And it's a habit, right? But it's a way of me getting my mind right for the day. So like if I miss that one step in the morning, sometimes I'm a bit lost. Like I'll be like thinking about the first step all day. So like I'll be like I'll be doing a whole work day and I'll be thinking to myself, I haven't had my coffee yet. Do you know what I mean? It's not because I need coffee. I don't need caffeine. Caffeine doesn't even affect me at this point because I drink so much of it. But it's a ritual thing. Like it's like my head gets straight when I have my coffee in the morning. And a lot of people can relate to that, right? Like every single time you get up, you have a ritual, right? If it's just going to the bathroom when you get out of the bed, like, you know, everyone has a ritual that they go the first thing in the day. I need to do this before I do anything else. And if you don't do that thing before you get out of bed, it fucks your whole day. I know that. I live it. Like it's 100%. But this is the thing again. Like it takes a whole of like 5 minutes to make the coffee, right? So if you get up late and you're running late for work, that's your fault. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your fault. You should have stayed up so late the night before, right? Or you shouldn't have. You should have got out of bed earlier. You should have got up for the sixth time your alarm went off, right? You know, like you need to do these things. But if you miss that and then your whole day is kind of like on the back burner because you missed your coffee in the morning, the next day has to be different. Okay? You need to change that. You need to change that routine in order to figure out the next day. Because if you then fall into the pattern of always waking up late, or always missing that coffee, or always like the importance of that coffee, it kind of dwindles away a little bit, doesn't it? Because now you're like used to not doing it and it's changed. It's like, so it's a malleable process, but at the same time, it's like a perspective for your day as well. So like you need to allocate things in the right way. That's basically what I was going with that. I think it makes sense, right?
Yeah, 100%, dude. The way you start your day, I mean, there's, that's another thing that we've talked about in previous podcasts too, right? Identify what that is, folks. Look, like I said, and forget about everything that happened before today. Like, if you've never done it before, who gives a shit? If you tried it and failed, I don't give a shit. Pay attention now. Figure out what your thing is. If it's doing the bed, if it's like, all right, let me use that as an example. I want to challenge. You don't have to say if you do it or not, but for those people who just say don't make their bed often, make your bed. Make it tomorrow, the day after. If it gives you a great feeling, right? Fucking great. Guess what? You found something that should definitely 100% be a part of that initial period when you wake up in the day. Cuz look, Adam knows it. Adam, and he knows it, and he knows when he hasn't done it because it throws him off. Pay attention to that, because if you start your day off in a way that just gets you in the right mindset, man, you'll be surprised. You will be surprised how much more productive you're going to be that day. And at the very least, if you already have productive days all the time, you're just going to have them a lot sooner. So yeah, dude, makes total sense. The I guess I was going to say switching gears, but I don't really think I'm switching gears. You want to know what I was just thinking about, and it just kind of popped in my head. When we were, when we put the note out about what we wanted to chat about, we talked about success and failures, but we also did say, like, both in life, and in business. And something that I want to share with you guys, because this is something that took me a very, very long time. And, Adam will tell you, because I spoke to him about it too. And it has to do with what I said before about, like, picking that one thing and then just make sure that you put your all. There's going to be moments in your life where, where you feel like one part of your life is being neglected because you're putting too much in the other. Like, for example, if you want success both in life, your personal life, and then you want success in business, and it can be very difficult to balance when it boils down to this. And this was really hard for me to accept for a few years, because I wanted to have, like, in my eyes, what the perfect family was, and then I also wanted to have what the perfect career was. And that was just me, that was me not being intelligent. That was me just kind of wanting the gratification, not instantly, but I wanted gratification. I want to just I'm not challenge, but I want to encourage people to try to figure out which makes you feel better. I go by feelings, like if you're struggling between like if you're not seeing friends and family as often as you like because you know what you're sick of being moderate and mediocre and you want to elevate your life in this one way. You want to take on these principles and you just want to give the best to your life. If that means something to you, if that gives you a happy feeling, you go for it. Understand that the sacrifice of family is going to be there, but vice versa too. If what you really want is to build a family, get married, whatever the hell it is, and it doesn't coincide with career, don't look at that as failure because
Mm.
it's not. It's not. It's time management. It's shifting priorities. Don't let that stop you either. Make a decision. It took me years to make a decision because I was afraid that I was going to make the wrong one or I was going to miss out on this or miss out on that. But when I finally made the decision, it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was a bit digressing. My bad. I thought I was going to be able to tie that to like the success failure
No,
thing,
that
but
makes it makes sense though. Like just in the broad scheme of everything we talk about, it makes sense. Um, it's personal output. It's personal magnitude. It's all coincided with the same thing. Like it's you know every single like we lay down the principles of it as relatable as we can make them, right? And you
yeah,
guys just need to read into it into your own situations. So just
that's
apply
it.
it to yourself. We're not sitting here, solving the mysteries of the universe. We're just laying out the simplicity of it in the way that we see it in our lives. And hopefully you guys can then, emulate that in your own lives, in your own experiences and in what's going on in your life today. Like, if there's a way you can literally watch this podcast or listen to this podcast and then at the same time be looking at your own life and what's going on and then apply those principles and apply those experiences and relate to them, then that's all it's about. Like, my mom has watched this podcast a fair bit as well now, and she gives me feedback all the time. And she says to me, she goes, I really like what you're doing because, I was able to listen to the podcast, and as I was listening to it, I was taking everything you were saying and I was applying it to exactly what's going on in my life right now. Right, and that's exactly what we were
Great.
trying to achieve in the first place. So
Oh yeah.
it's definitely a good thing. So like even from the comments in the chat, right? Like, Piss Slayer talking about his job, Toasty talking about his job, Maya talking about her ex-husband, all these things, right? Basically, you are doing exactly what we have tried to inherently perform. You have taken all the things that we've just talked about and all the things that we've been talking about and applied them to your own life. And that's the formula works. It means we're doing the right thing because you're getting out exactly what we're trying to give. So honestly, like, this is the reason why we like doing this podcast, is because of that exact reason. That exact reason. Like, we said at the start of this, we love talking about this kind of stuff as it is anyway. So like, this is
Yeah.
just us naturally having conversation. But if at the end of the day, one person has any sort of change in their lives in a positive way from this podcast, we win. That's it. That is a success. All of it. It's not a failure. It's a success because we
Yeah.
set out to succeed, not on a broad scale, even though that would be great. We set out to succeed as simply to put as humanly possible. That's what it is. And I think, again, the magnitude of success when it comes to whatever you're doing, that's important too.
Yeah. The it's gonna be on a broader scale. That's gonna be the byproduct.
Yeah,
So
of course.
you know what I was thinking is and then I want to address what Maya said actually.
Yeah.
Uh and by the way, Maya, thank you. I mean, like I love that. Like Adam said, kudos to you guys. Kudos to Maya. Kudos to Pit Slayer, Toaster. Like, man, we really appreciate you guys. Just kind of get it in there and giving us a little piece of you. You know what I mean? Tying it
Mm.
back to what we're doing. So much love. But at some point, because So look, this is very much a creative journey for us. And when I say us, I mean, Adam and I, and that we're letting a lot of it kind of happen in a very off the cuff, impromptu way with a lot of preparation behind it. And I know that's kind of like an oxymoron, but you just got to believe us on that one. So the reason I'm saying that is because like I'm here thinking that like when we talk about this stuff, we share a little bit about us too, and maybe at some point, depending on how many, we know that there's 10 different components to empowerment. But that doesn't mean that we're just going to stick to that 10 because, like, as you guys are talking to us, these ideas are coming. And when we deem an idea important to you, then it becomes important to us, and we want to make sure that we incorporate it in there. But maybe towards the end of it, I was thinking maybe we could do something where we kind of all bring it back together, right? And we pick a story in our lives. I don't know. I'm brainstorming. We'll talk about this offline. But like, because that would be really wonderful. As almost like a tribute to those of you who have been here from the beginning. Because you guys will really appreciate that. Like, holy fuck, this is it coming full circle. Anyway, that's that's me. Digressing again, like I always do.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Especially when you get I'm interested to understand a little bit about where maybe where Maya's coming from that like commit to mustard at times, especially when you have
Well,
tried.
it depends on what the motivation is in. So like, is it motivation to do what exactly? Because
Yeah,
motivation in general is easy to manifest as long as you have, like a goal in mind that is achievable. That's
yeah,
the thing. So like, if your goal is to land on the moon tomorrow, right? Your motivation is going to be very low because that's unachievable, right? So it's like, well, I'm never going to get that done. So the motivation to do that is just non-existent. Whereas like, if your motivation is just to stand up, you know what I mean? And you can achieve, and you want to achieve it in the next week, that's achievable, right? Because the motivation is there to do it because you can see the end result. So like, it depends on the motivation, and the motivation, depends on the goal you set, I believe, and the steps you take in order to achieve that goal. And we will definitely touch on goals and motivation in future, 110%, because that's basically ties into everything we've just talked about today. So that is a very important topic that I would love to delve into.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
motivation when it comes to life is difficult. It's not meant to be easy. But if you get motivation easy, you're already winning. Like, you are ahead of the ball game. Like, if you come across someone and you say, "I've got to do this today," I was like, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that too," and they just go and do it straight away, and you're sitting there like, "Whoa, like this guy just fucking just went and did it." Like, he didn't question anything, didn't plan anything, he just did it, right? Those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourselves with too, because motivation can be it can be harnessed off others as well, remember. So like
100%.
if I'm talking to someone who's motivated, that motivates me to be more motivated. Like, it's 110%. If I'm talking to someone who's unmotivated, just sitting on the couch doing nothing, I'm not motivated to do fuck all. Like, and that's just human nature. So like, if you surround yourself with other motivated people, right, chances are you'll probably do a lot more because you watch them doing stuff and you're like, I feel like I should be doing something. If you have that feeling when you're watching other people do stuff that you should be doing something, you'll do it, right? It's like if you're at home, like, obviously this isn't from my perspective, but if you're home with the family, right, and everybody's doing stuff around you, right? Kids running around playing, wife's cleaning the house, you're just sitting on the couch staring at the TV. You'd probably be motivated to get off your ass. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I feel like that would be an easy motivator. That just be like, okay, maybe I should fucking do something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and for those who don't see that, like, you need to change your perspective a little bit just to help yourself. Like, that's 100% a good tool to use.
So one of the things that we talked about doing with these podcasts, because there's so much we could talk about. There's a lot of strategies in between. We're talking about high level topics, right? But within those high level topics, there's a lot of very, very specific things and specific strategies that we've acquired over the years, whether through our own doing or learning them, etc. The reason I'm saying that is because I was interested. I was reading what Maya, was saying, and I was gonna say something, and then while you were talking, she added some more information. I think I know what you're talking about, Maya. I'm not gonna, we don't have to do the guessing game, but I wanna empathize with you a little bit because I've been in that situation before, where there was something that really meant a lot to me. It really did. Like getting it right meant a lot to me. And I failed once, then I failed twice, then I failed three times. And then on the third time, I really started paying attention to like, okay, yeah, like what went wrong, let me start, incorporating because like we're talking about, it's easy to talk about these principles in sports and in business, but when it comes to like life, it gets a little tricky, right? But still applies. I want to ask you this. If it really means something to you, okay? What you're talking about in particular, like if it really means a lot to you and you really want it, okay, in your heart, when you get to the point where you're beginning to self-doubt, right? Or it's becoming almost impossible to encourage yourself. Something that I've done, and it's a very simple strategy, it's an idea that's very effective, is sometimes it's okay to walk away. Go focus on other things for a while, okay? And then come back to it with a clear head. There's nothing wrong with that. People, because and I know that that almost sounds a little bit counterintuitive because of what we've been talking about. You push, you push, you push, you push. But I'm talking about specifically with the sentiments that you're talking about. Anybody and everybody, if there's something that means a lot to you, and it's particularly more on the life side of things, and you want to achieve it, you want to feel it, you want to get it right, but you keep falling short, okay? Keep going. But the moment it gets to when you're starting to really doubt yourself, or it's becoming almost impossible to feel or to encourage yourself, don't feel guilty about that. Don't beat yourself up about it. Walk away from it for a short while. Take a break from it. Focus on some other things. Don't forget about it, but just give it a break and then come back to it when you have a clear head. It's worked wonders for me. Adam, I don't know if you've ever felt similarly or done something similarly.
Um, yeah, on that topic, I guess for what I would do in that response, I mean, yes, you say walk away from it and come back to it. I agree, but at the same time, the difference between walking away from something and then being pessimistic about it and saying, it's not worth my time. You're saying that that thing is supposed to be the most important thing. If it's not the most important thing, why is that as well? I think you'd have to question that because, like, if you've identified that as something you failed, right, and you've tried it multiple times, obviously you trying it multiple times, you know, extenuates that magnitude of what you're doing, right? Does that make sense? So, like, if you tried it multiple times, it means it was somewhat important, right? Like, if you try
Yeah.
something multiple times and you just didn't think it was important in the first place, you wouldn't have tried it multiple times. Like that is the principle of the whole issue there, right? However, if you are then saying walk away from it and come back to it, what is more important, right? What is the more important thing you're going to do instead? I mean, are you putting it off, right, because you deem it less important, or are you putting it off because you can't achieve it? That's the other
But
question I would say, because I mean that's a little bit devil's advocate as well, but it's
so
kind of
it's
like,
in my example, like when the specifically example I was giving was because the I've never really felt like a ton of self doubt, but like I can be honest with myself when I know that my vision and my concentration have gotten clouded. For example, like in poker, when you're playing poker and you have a bad hand, the best players in the world, the best players in the world can have a good hand cracked and go on tilt. And next thing you know, they just become sloppy and erratic. And
Mhm.
so that's what I mean. And then like when I say walk away, I mean literally just, you know what? We're gonna put this to bed for now. I need to go focus on other things. Now, what I specifically try to do is I try to go focus on other things that bring me happiness, focus on other things that rebuild my confidence, rebuild
Right.
my strength. Remind me that, hey, you know what, Ken, dude, you're still a stud, bro. You're a fucking rock star, bro. Chill, you let this shit get to your head, and it's all good. We'll get back to it. That's kind of what I meant. I don't know if that would apply to what maybe what Maya's going through
Yeah.
or what she feels, but like, but no, but what you said makes logical sense though. Like if somebody's feeling that way, um, and they can easily shift to something else and make that more important, then was that first thing really that important to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
you're
get it.
talking about mindset because
Yeah.
you're basically saying if you're in the bad mindset because of the failure or the failure that you've done or the thing that you determined that was a failure, then how do you get in that better mindset to then
Right.
retry that thing in order for it to be a success? So you basically
Unreal.
saying go to the things you know you can do, go to the things you know you can achieve that are going to boost your morale, boost your mood, boost your happiness, boost whatever it is, and then come back to that thing and then tackle it with a clean slate. That's basically how you're saying. And I agree. I 100% agree. Like
Yeah.
that was the same thing that I said before about the 10 things to do in the day. Like knock out the small things because then you've achieved something already and then it makes the other things easily achievable because you've already in that achieving mindset, like that
Yeah.
success mindset, right? And that's the other thing about you. It all ties back. You talked about making your bed. We talked about having the coffee. Like all of this stuff is designed to put you in a good headspace in order to achieve what you want to achieve and be successful in the first place. And that's why the first topic of this entire series was confidence, right? Confidence is the first step to everything. Okay? When it comes to empowerment, if you don't have the confidence to start doing all the things in the first place, you'll never do anything. Okay? Because and to get that confidence, you have to start. You have to start somewhere, and like we literally talked about it for 2.5 hours. Like it's the most
Yeah.
important topic of this entire series. And if you haven't watched that podcast, I encourage you to go back and watch it because once you watch that podcast and you take out of it and you get confidence, the rest of it just fucking falls into place like jigsaw puzzles. Like it is so easy to follow because confidence is just a way of just starting. Do you know what I mean? Like
Lays
if
the groundwork for everything else.
like you said, like you just said, I have self-doubt. I have self-doubt. I have self-doubt. Self-doubt comes from a lack of confidence, right? So if you're able to harness confidence in some way, shape, or form and then apply it to whatever you're trying to achieve, it's going to be so much easier for you. Like it'll
You
be
know,
so good.
I love that you tied that back because the a lot of the things that we're talking about today, we built it off of the first two episodes. Like Adam said, confidence is that foundation that gets you to really pursue all of these things, right? And then a lot of what we were talking about today, right, requires you to have perspective,
Mhm.
requires you to have a vision and understanding of what it is you want to do, the directions you want to go. That was the second episode, the one right before this one. So I feel like a lot of you have already watched them, but um it really is falling in beautifully like the perfect jigsaw puzzle, like Adam just said. We really hope you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, 100%. I just think people are going to get out of this whatever they get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just go with it, and if you enjoy it, watch it. If you don't enjoy it, and you don't, and you that person that's like, oh, these guys are just talking shit. Whatever they say is all bullshit. Fuck them. Don't watch. That's fine. I'm not going to force you to. But I think of the people that do apply it to their own lives in some way, shape, or form will benefit the most. I really do.
Yeah.
In saying that, fucking amazing topic. I really enjoyed it. Success and
Yeah.
failure. Great topic.
Love it.
It's one of those things. It's in the eye of the beholder a lot, but also I think the next important topic we'll probably talk about is goals because I think goals is the way we allocate what is successful. We allocate perspective to our lives, and we also use our confidence in order to achieve our goals. So I think the next topic will sort of revolve a little bit around goals. Can you agree with that? And when it comes to the future of what we're going to talk about, a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of self-confidence, all that kind of stuff. We'll tie it all back in with everything so that we can move on to real life situations. So like we're going to go into stuff like, if you want to buy that car, how are the steps to getting there? We're going to go into, if you want that job, what are the steps to getting there? Like, and we're going to try and make it a little bit structured in the way of talking about goals and goal setting and steps and procedures and stuff, but also try and emulate that in a way that is easily accessible to your own life. I think that's the next step in this podcast for us.
Yes, because it's not just theory, guys. These are it's theory and practice.
100%.
So that's exactly what he's talking about. We're gonna tie it to actual like life situations, both that we've done that have really happened, so that you can understand it, and also things that we want to do. And we may get that we may get that from the community. You know what I mean? There may be some of you have similar things that you could use a little bit of help and guidance and yeah, dude, we're just gonna put our best foot forward. And like you said, you take with it, you take from it what you get, and hopefully that's a lot.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm excited to push into topics like entrepreneurism as well. Like I really want to talk about that because we have plenty of stories about that. We got plenty of references for that and stuff like that. That's the topic I'm really excited for, and that's going to be in the future too. Like we're going to talk about people that started with nothing, people that started with big goals and are still pushing to achieve them even though they've achieved so much. So it's like it's more a motivational topic there as well. So I think that's going to be the next sort of things that we're going to touch on, and we really look forward to having you for that. But for today, that'll be us. And if you want to add anything extra, Ken, go for it. But if not, we'll see you guys next time, eh?
Yeah, we're all good. Thank you for the engagement. Thanks for sharing. We're having a great time with it, and we're gonna keep bringing the quality content and insight to you guys, and we hope to see every one of you next week.
100%. All right, guys, have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye, guys.